The unspoken thing, manifesting the felt but unsaid.
There is a particular kind of social architecture, one built not from a foundation of generosity, but from a quiet, protective instinct. Some people aren't nice because they're kind. No, they're nice because they're afraid of tension, afraid of rejection, afraid of being seen as difficult. You know the one. It's that physical response, that automatic, it's fine, or the quick, no worries. It's a social gesture that just happens, faster than thought. Almost like a muscular reaction moving toward agreement before your mind has even had a chance to reflect. Now, it's easy to see this as a character flaw or maybe even a form of manipulation, but it often begins as a strategy, a highly intelligent form of protection that we've come to label as people-pleasing. And this really comes down to the idea of adaptation. It's not a weakness. It's a logical, even skillful response to an environment. It's a behavior that was learned because at some point, it was the absolute best way to ensure safety and a sense of belonging. And you know what? It worked. And this is where the dissonance comes in. See, externally, this adaptation is often rewarded. You're seen as easygoing, mature, maybe just kind. But the internal reality is one of containment, a constant effort of holding things in, and that leads to a deep, quiet fatigue and a slow, accumulating resentment. So what really fuels this entire structure? Well, it's a core fear. It's not just a fear of disagreement, it's a primal terror of what that disagreement might lead to, being cast out, which it turns out is a pain the brain processes as a physical injury. The formal term for this is ostracism. And what the research makes startlingly clear is that this is a universally painful experience. It doesn't even matter if you know the people. The simple act of being ignored or excluded, even by complete strangers, is deeply and immediately distressing. This isn't just a metaphor. When we use phrases like a broken heart to talk about social rejection, we're actually describing a neurological reality. The brain processes the pain of being left out in the very same regions that it processes physical pain. The threat feels like a real injury. You know, a very simple experiment shows this perfectly. It's called the ball tossing paradigm. A person plays a simple virtual game of catch with two other figures online. At first, everyone's included. And then, suddenly, the other two figures just stop throwing the ball to the participant. Even in this tiny, anonymous context, the exclusion triggers immediate and measurable distress. But of course, the threat isn't always as direct as being cut from a game. A lot of the time, it's far more subtle. Our social worlds are regulated by these powerful, unspoken currents. Things as simple as a moment of silence or the way we unconsciously start to mimic each other. Just consider the incredible power of a brief pause. A member of a group shares an opinion that deviates from the norm, and what follows isn't an argument, it's just a brief, resounding silence. That silence is not empty, it's a signal. It's a subtle threat to your inclusion in the group, and it is remarkably effective at motivating you to adjust your stance back toward the norm. And then there are other, even less conscious forces at play. You have something called the chameleon effect. It's our non-conscious tendency to mimic the people we're with, their postures, their gestures. It's like this automatic, invisible dance that serves as a kind of social glue, a way of signaling without words, I'm with you, I'm one of you. It's another small, automatic strategy for maintaining the harmony that feels like safety. So the question is, where do these powerful adaptations even come from? Well, to understand them, we have to look back to the environments where we first learned the rules of connection, our earliest relationships. In attachment theory, there's this concept of an internal working model. The best way to think of it is as a subconscious map of the social world. It's a blueprint formed in early childhood that tells us who we are, what other people are like, and how relationships are supposed to work. And this map guides our expectations for the rest of our lives. So, when a caregiver is able to respond to a child's needs, both for closeness and for independence, that child starts to build a map where the world is a fundamentally safe place. Their internal model of themselves becomes one of being valuable, of being competent and self-reliant. What happens when that experience is contradictory? What happens when the person you depend on for safety is also a source of rejection? To survive that impossible conflict, the mind performs a remarkable adaptation. it might defensively exclude that painful reality from awareness, creating a kind of split internal model. It is a profound act of psychological self-preservation. And those maps, those blueprints drawn so long ago, they don't just disappear. They create echoes that shape our adult lives, generating the very behaviors we started by observing. So if, in your original environment, conflict consistently led to punishment, or if disagreement led to the withdrawal of affection, or if just saying no meant risking a total disconnection, well, then the nervous system learns a very simple, very powerful, and in that context, a very logical equation. Harmony equals safety. This becomes the primary operating principle. And it's not a conscious thought. It's a deep somatic truth that gets etched into the body's response system. This conditioning has a name. It's called the fawn response. It's a type of trauma response where, when faced with a threat, the reaction isn't to fight or to flee, but to try to appease the source of danger. All those non-conscious adaptations we saw earlier, like the chameleon effect, they're just subtle echoes of this core survival instinct. It is the logical endpoint for a nervous system that has been conditioned to believe that harmony is survival. And so we're left to simply observe the architecture and to feel the resonance of the question. Is the kindness coming from a place of generosity, or is it a strategy born from fear?